All right, hi there. This is video number 9. It's going to be pretty short and sweet. That should be good news after the last two because they were very long. I am very sorry about that. There's just a lot of data in there. So this is the beginning of chapter 3, and this briefly goes over sections 1 and 2, and this is all about linear equations. And the coordinate plane. So super straightforward review at the beginning here. Let me grab a, my content. Grab a coordinate plane. If you could pause this and just take a minute to draw that on your paper. Whoops, I gotta move that guy. So give yourself a little coordinate plane. It really doesn't matter how many, how far out you go. You can go up 5, down 5, whatever. So give yourself a pause, put one of those on there. I am trying desperately, not working, to delete these stupid little things I drew on here. All right, some super quick review. You have the X and Y axis. Go ahead and label those on your coordinate plane, and then make sure that you labeled them correctly. The X axis is the horizontal axis, goes left and right. The Y axis is the vertical axis, goes up and down. I think yo-yo, because a yo-yo goes up and down. So if you have trouble keeping those straight. Do you remember the name of this center point? That is the origin on a coordinate plane. Every coordinate point is called an ordered pair. And it's represented in a set of parentheses where you have the X coordinate first, a comma, and the Y coordinate. So for example, if I were to put this point on the graph right here in purple, that is over 4 units and up 3 units. So it is 4, 3, right? Likewise, if I put one down here, that is over 2 and down 5, and it goes in a negative direction, so -2, -5. How about on the coordinate axes? I'll do these in green. If I have one sitting out here in green, that is over -5 and up 0, so -5, 0. And then if I put another one in yellow, let's say right here, that is over 0 and up 3. So over 0 and up 3, right? So those are some examples, and you're going to have to plot these just to make sure that you know where they all are. Also, just a really quick review. Let's go to another screen. Draw yourself another little coordinate plane. We'll drag this guy onto the screen. So really quick review of a equation for a line. In slope-intercept form. Is y equals mx plus b, where m, oh my goodness gracious, where m is the slope. Remember, that can be represented by rise over run, or change, good Lord, get out of there, that little box, or change in y's over the change in the x's, or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's going to come up in the next couple of lessons. It's not in this one. B is the y-intercept. And remember that an intercept is where the graph or the line crosses that axis, right? So if we see an equation that looks like y equals 1/2 x plus 3. You're going to always plot the y-intercept first. And it goes on the y-axis, right? That's why it's called a y-intercept. So we're going to find the value of 3 on the y-axis, which goes up and down. And that is right there. And I'm going to plot a point there. And then you use your slope, 1/2. Remember, slope is rise over run. So if our slope is 1/2, that means I'm going to rise 1 and then run 2. So from this point, I'm going to get a different color pen. With my slope, I'm going to rise up 1 unit from the point I already have and then run 2 units. And that's where my next point is going to go. Rise up 1, run 2. That's where my next point is going to go. Rise up 1, run 2. That's where my next point is going to go, right? Some of you are very good at this when you come into my room. Some of you stink and need a lot of review. Also, remember, if you're going to rise up and run right, you can turn both of those directions around and rise down and run left. So I could go start from my purple point again, my y-intercept, and I could drop 1 unit and go left 2 units, and that would be another point on that line. Drop 1, run 2, and that would be a point on that line, right? So eventually, you can take this line. Well, I don't have a solid line with 2 arrows, apparently. Let's get one. Okay, so I am going to create a line that goes through all of those points. And that is what that equation of that line, y equals 1/2 x plus 3, that is how you would do that, right? One more real quick, just to, actually maybe 2, just to make sure that you're all on the same page. Give yourself another little coordinate plane. This time, let's plot the line y equals -2/3 x plus 4. So same rules apply. Plot the y-intercept first. That's on your y-axis, right? Y-axis goes up and down. Plot your 4. And then because my slope is negative, if my rise is negative, then it's going to go down, right? And my run is positive. So it's going to go to the right. So I'm going to go down 2 units, run to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, and this is where my next point would go. Down 2, run 3. That's where my next point would go. Now remember, if I can go down and right, I can also go up and left. Turn them both around. So go back up to your y-intercept, and I'm going to go up 2 and left 3. And that is where my next point would go. And I can't go any further on this graph with either point because they go off the graph. Now, just kind of a true statement, the more points you put on a graph, the more accurate your line is, right? So don't be lazy here and just put 2 points on the graph. Also, don't be lazy and just sketch a line. Get a straight edge of some sort, a ruler, a credit card, the side of your notebook. I don't care. But if you're drawing these, you should make them fairly accurate. Okay? The last one I want to talk about before we do one other thing is, and again, this is for those of you that struggle with graphing. What if I have a line that looks like this? Y equals 2x. And that's it. So it's in this form, y equals mx plus b. But where's this part? Right? It's missing. So if the b is missing, what does that mean? Well, that can only mean one thing. The only thing that represents nothing is 0. So b equals 0, and you would put a point right at the origin, and that is where that thing goes. Now, if you have a whole number as your slope, remember your slope is rise over run. And so if you have a whole number always goes over 1. And so your rise over run is up to positive 2, right 1, because that's also positive, right? Positive over positive. So I'm going to rise 2, and I'm doing this invisibly over 1. I'm doing this without doing all these little dots, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Go back to my y-intercept, the green dot, down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1, down 2, left 1. Go as far as you can, and then draw your line in. And that line will always, if you've made all of these accurate points, it's always going to go through all of those dots. Okay? All right. So that's 2.1. The only other thing there's two things. We want to go to Varsity real quick and actually show you how to plot a line. So here, this says use the intercepts to sketch the graph. You guys can do what we just did. So the y-intercept is 2. The slope is 1 because there's no value there. So what you need to do is go down here below the coordinate plane and pick the right tool that you need. Well, this is a line. So we're going to pick the line. And then go ahead and you're going to put 2 points on the line and it will create it automatically for you. So we're going to put one of our points at the y-intercept, which is 2. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just use your mouse and drag. My slope is 1. So I'm going to go up 1, over 1. And when you get there, click on that point. Notice how right now you have a pencil and a red dot. I'm going to click on it and you're going to get a 4-way white arrow when you click on it. See that? That means the line is now in place and it's not going to change, okay? If you make a boo-boo, you have to hit clear all. It's possible to drag these points around, but it's difficult. So let's say you went down to -2 and then went the wrong way with your slope and you went, oh, that's wrong. I know it's wrong. Or maybe even you submit your answer and you find out that way that it's wrong. Hang on, it's grading. So you'll get a red box around there, right? So you can clear it. Make sure you choose your tool. And then I want to go up 2, up 1, over 1, up 1. You can continue. You can see that you would put more dots on that line, but you don't need to. And then submit. And it will give you a green box when you have done that correctly. Okay, so that's how you use Varsity to plot a line. Let's real quick go back here. And the only other thing I want to point out is there are a couple questions that look like this. If you're given y equals -2x minus 4, Varsity puts these in, and these seem pretty straightforward to me, but again, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page. They're going to give you a table, and in that table, they're going to give you some values. And your job is to either plug in the x and solve for y, or plug in the y and solve for x, right? I'm not going to actually do that. I feel like you can do the substitution. And then the other way that might look, same exact information, but they're going to give you a set of ordered pairs that looks like this. Okay, these are exactly the same. The XY table and the set of ordered pairs, exactly the same. So again, you're just going to take 0, plug it in for x because that's in the x location, solve for y, and get whatever value goes in there. That's going to be -4, by the way, for that one. So these questions, identical. All you're doing is substitution for both of them. I just don't want you to get to Varsity and go, oh, what are they asking me here? Okay, so that's it. This is both 3.1 and 3.2 in Varsity. Reviewing of lines. Toodaloo, kiddos.